Welcome everybody to the Ambassador Program Town Hall meeting number 45. We're live on Zoom actually for the very first time. No longer on Discord, no longer restricted by 25 user limits and cameras and stuff. There's people having pizza on their head. It's all good here. It's April 25th, 2023, and today we're joined by Felix, by Kren, by Fly, by August, by Haley, Hedalf, Judith, Mikasa. Read meeting notes, which is very welcome here. Also Sebastian, Steven, Sugar and Spice, and the Fries DeFi. Thanks all for joining in. Good to see you find your way to Zoom. Yeah, apart from Zoom, I don't think the general concept. Just getting distracted a ton by mustaches. Nice. Which is good. Yeah, outside of the location of this meeting, structure won't change too much. As you can see on screen, there's the agenda. Start out with some updates from the work groups, then a little mention of some tasks, and then I want to spend some time on recapping the Decentralized Governance Summit, and then there's space for open topics. So, yeah, I think we can dive right in. And there should be a mention of a bit of an outline what we're doing. Yes, there is. Nice. So just to recap for those who've joined for the first time here, I don't see too many new faces, but perhaps on... oh, there's some new faces. Nice. And also for the people on YouTube joining in for the very first time. Basically what the Ambassador Program aims to do is to provide a way where community members can contribute to the vision of SingularityNet, which is working towards beneficial AGI. And yeah, we do that by all kind of self-organizing groups. There's all type of work groups for like marketing related translations. There's a couple of new ones popping up, which we'll get to in a bit later. And yeah, all in all, it's just a great way to meet new like-minded people and have fun together while learning a little bit about SingularityNet. Then onto the work groups and their updates. As you can see on screen, it's a growing list. But let's get started with the process guilds. And the weekly meetings take place after the town hall, so on 19 UTC, also on Zoom. All of them are on Zoom. Tivo, can I please ask you to give a little update? What's up on the Process Guild?
Sure. I just got home from an AI meetup, local meetup from Estonia. Shared a bit of light what's happening in SingularityNet, and looks like nobody knows what is SingularityNet in Estonia, so I got to do more work there. But yes, Process Guild. Last week we looked at the dashboard and a little bit of what are the tags making, what kind of like a chart it makes, and then still looked into the culture and the way we are working on Miro boards and on alternative tools we are using to do that. And today we are going to slightly continue on that path. There was a discussion that perhaps we get the Miro board template out, but it has a bit postponed because we're going to develop the tokenomics voting first. And yeah, today we may give a slight direction to that, although the solution is not yet ready. And because last week there was the summit, so the homework from my side was a little bit lacking, but I did bring some new insights from the summit to also to Process Guild to look at and to talk about. Regarding Treasury Guild, main discussion were licenses and the tools we are using and how do we aggregate all that information. We also discussed about like own tokens, having tokens for each guild or then skills. Right now we put it to to rest, do not touch too much of tokenomics as of yet, and build more the structure and the framework of how do we work. So already a slight intro to the governance framework, and upcoming weeks, hopefully there will be more on that. And as you can see, we are now in Zoom, and read.ai is being used. So that's another experiment we're gonna try to use and see if we can find value in this. That was mainly and we launched the stateful operation call out to have a workboard. And this week in Treasury Guild, we are going back to doing some contributions, looking at the Excel again. We are closing in of our first 2-month iteration. So we prepared also some slides, some data to look at, and some discussion points of how do we continue, and do we want to set up some rules for us. And if there is time, perhaps even some good principles from a book called The Network State. That's it from Treasury.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for sharing. Yeah, as a reminder, you can see it on screen. The Treasury Guild meetings take place on Thursdays at 15:30 UTC. Yeah, then on next, we arrive at the Marketing Guild. Crandano, can I ask you to provide a little update from that side?
Yeah, definitely. Marketing Guild met Friday, April 21st. We had a short meeting to make time for SingularityNet's decentralization summit. The main talking point was on how to fairly reward workgroup leads. We'll plan to continue the conversation into this week's incubation workgroup. We see the need for more people within the guild and workgroup, and we'll look into the sign-up list for the ambassador program this week to begin reaching out to content creators. We plan on discussing this with Sucre and Spice to get their help and get them more involved. Marketing Guild meets Fridays at 13 UTC, and we could use all the help that we can get. Let's hop over to Kenichi for an update on Writers Workgroup and their meeting this last week.
Jim, can you guys hear me? All right, great. So, first off, I'd like to say that we've added another scribbler to our list of scribblers now. Now we have, I think his name here is, hold on. I don't know if he's still in the call, but yeah, I think it's Blank God or I'm not sure. So yeah, he's our new scribbler. He took up the test and yeah, quite really exceeded remarks from me, to be honest. And yeah, apart from that, we also on the last call we discussed the idea of having a pairing system where two people to maximize our efforts and all. Two people can pick out hours where they are free during the week to discuss, to reflect and brainstorm. We call them brainstorming sessions now, and they can bring that findings to us on the weekly call on Friday. So that way they can get to, we don't really need to do so much on the call as much as just share updates like what I explained. I think I did that really well on the last call. So apart from that, I released a set of action items to look at based on the fact that we are still looking for a way to get a lot of information from the ecosystem, so that way we can have their like calendar or something. But I texted Peter, and he shared a link with Hypercycle. Yeah, so I will be doing more research on that and see how we can get more information from that angle and use that information to create content ahead of their releases and all. That's the point from the Writers World Group. So we are moving towards that direction. And also for the meeting notes, in the last the Decentralization Summit, I was on it. I attended most of the call, but I couldn't really get a lot of information because there was so many people talking, so many information going around. But I think I got a few notes myself, but I'm still looking for a chance to get the full notes from Peter, that would be awesome. I think he's looking into it. I really appreciate that. And yeah, so we're gonna be using moving forward. I think we can be using Zoom for all our calls. As I'm leading the group, I would be using read.ai as we're doing on this call, which which is awesome. I really love the tool. Yeah, we'll be using that to record our meeting notes and I will advise our people on brainstorming sessions to probably use it too for their sessions, so that way they can grasp all their ideas in one place. And yes, we'll be looking forward to launching the Medium account and hopefully the Substack before this week runs out. I think that's our focus. That's from my perspective. That's the main focus from this week, and we'll also be putting out the ambassador program introduction from each ambassador's bio, in a way, just a short note of who the ambassadors are, what they do. It doesn't really need to have your pictures in it, but at least I feel that should be our first piece going on the Medium account. So with that, we can also have the introduction to the ambassador programs and the ambassadors themselves to put in the mix, and then we can start pushing forward on more articles. And I think Slate is working on an article to introduce the SingularityNet community itself, but from the ambassadors program perspective. I'll be trying to work with him to see how we can get a good piece to come out as our second piece. So I think that's the update from me. Any other thing if I miss any other thing out, I will add it and tag it guys somewhere. I'll let you know.
On my side, Peter, if I can share my screen, that would be very nice. I also will share my Miro board on the chat. If you can follow from there, that would be great. And yeah, let's share some screens. Hopefully you can see my screen now. Can you? Okay, perfect. So from last week, from the video work group, it was, as Kran said, it was a very short meeting. We had 3 projects approved. So the first project that was approved was from CryptoFly. It is already a done video. You can watch it if you go to the Miro board. You can watch it. You can find it here. We also have from Lily Cupcake. We have 6, I believe. Yeah, we have 6 clips that will be posted on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We already created an Instagram and TikTok. I will share the links later, I guess. And yeah, we already have like 26 followers on Instagram. That's cool. So the first clip I believe will be posted today or tonight. I look forward for the feedback. So this is about the done projects. So for the future projects that were approved as well, there is Agus, who's working on an introductory video for SingularityNet in Spanish. I have been talking to him also about perhaps doing the same video because it's a really nice animation video. So we were thinking about perhaps making the same video in English and perhaps even other languages. That's something to be discussed and approved by the community, obviously. So yeah, we look forward to looking at Agus's video. Also, we had one idea suggestion by Head-Up about making a video for each one of the, like an introductory video basically, for each one of the SingularityNet's sub-projects, or I don't know what to call them, to be honest, but other projects, let's say, Singularity DAO, Reju, and basically the others. Also, in the same Miro board, if you look at it, you will find the section which is governance and auditability. And for this section, if you're interested in seeing, well, how is the work group working, or what is it doing, basically, you will find the document for the structure of the work group. You will find a place for all the contents that is created, and you will also find another document which is the work group's KPIs. Most of these documents are not up to date, so if you look at them now, you're not going to find much information. I think the only one that is, I would say, up to date is the structure of the work group, which is also open to suggestion. If you think that something is not right or should be improved, please go there and suggest something. For all content created, I still have to kind of upload some created content, and the KPIs I just created like basically an outline on Google Sheet, and I will fill in the information later on this week. Yeah, and I also want to add an information. So basically, in our weekly meeting, I will use these KPIs in a sheet just to show like our some data about how are we doing in terms of views and subscribers and stuff, just to look at it data wise and see how are we doing in terms of outreach, especially from the video side, in terms of platforms and stuff like that. And that's it for the video work group. I would like to also add some details. I have been looking at the Summon platform for the last perhaps couple of weeks, and we got access, which is very nice. We got access to mainnet, and we have been looking at that. I created like a community there, so basically the bootstrapping or the testing will be done hopefully next hour. So I encourage all ambassadors to be there. Since you have a token for ambassadors, we will use that token to test the platform. Okay, so if you can be there, like, I would immensely appreciate it. And I guess that's that. I don't know if I forgot something, but yeah, that's about it.
Well, not so much forgot something, but on that token actually for testing, Summon, could you please remind us where to find that?
You will find it in your Cardano wallet. So I took the address of your wallet from the payment sheet. So I believe, yeah, I took the latest ones. So I believe that's your address. So whatever address you provided to the treasury system, that would be the address you can use. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't send it to someone else.
I would be interested in testing the platform, but I didn't receive any tokens.
Yeah, unfortunately, I only sent the tokens to ambassadors. So we only had this is just for testing. We will, if it seems like a good platform to use and a good method to go about it, like having NFTs for identification, then we can open it up for the wider work groups, which you are part of, August. So we will have our own tokens, maybe for governance of sub-communities and stuff like that. Yeah, I look forward to this. I think it's going to be really cool, but yeah.
Okay, no problem. If you guys want, I can also arrange a test of Clarity Protocol platform. It's similar than Summon. If you want.
Is it on mainnet yet, or?
Yes, there are things that are already on mainnet.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
You want.
Can you forward me some of, I don't know, maybe some link or something like that? Because when I checked, it was testnet and the closed testnet, not open.
No, there are things. There are. I will share with you. Don't worry.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Some functionalities are on mainnet.
And then, well, actually, Roger, perhaps you can answer this. A question in chat from Teva. What are we using Summon or Clarity for?
Yeah. So the main use so far is polls. So we want to have basically recorded polls or registered polls, like based on people who are like basically involved. So usually the way how we do it now is by consensus or consent. Head-off's way, which I really appreciate, and it's a really nice way. But we also wanted to add something on-chain. So we would have the classical way, which is consent, yay or nay, and we would add to that an extra layer on-chain for recording our votes and our decisions, which is using one of these platforms, Clarity or Summon. So far, we're looking at Summon, but nothing is fixed.
Oh, I would say, especially in light of testing, it makes sense to test on a couple of different ones, right?
Obviously, yeah, for sure. Summon seems to be a little bit more sophisticated, just because it's built by Ada, which has like a very wide kind of history in terms of like DAO governance and multi-sig wallets and all these things. But I'm really open to look at Clarity. I didn't look at it deeply before, so yeah. That would be great to see.
Yeah, no problem. I am not related with neither Clarity or Salmon. I am part of RatsDAO, but the thing about Clarity is that the technical team behind Clarity is MLabs, which is a very good technical team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. MLabs is doesn't need no introduction, I guess. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, then let's hop back to the, if I can find it, to the slides. Well, actually, I know from top of mind what's next on the list. That would be the incubation workshop, which is taking place on Wednesdays at 20 UTC, 19 UTC. Okay, let me share. 19 UTC. Well, Krandana or Fly, can I ask either of you to give a little update there?
Take it away. Yeah, nice. You've been hearing about Friday. You're gonna have to cast your mind 2 days back. Incubation met on Wednesday, April 19th. And there, last week we were focusing on workgroup leads and discussing workgroup leads, how to handle budget, how to interact with other parts of the ambassador program. So we looked at communication between the program and the foundation, the ecosystem as a whole, the communication between work groups and guilds, work groups and allocations, and then a discussion of an open topics before going to the 10,000 foot view. So many of the ideas picked up during this session were kind of honed in on during Fridays and focused in on during Marketing Guild. And some of the discussions that happened were on the pairing program, on the best practices for workgroup leads. We implemented a little skills labeling on Discord, you might have noticed, to allocate different roles to people who are participating in different work groups. We were considering budget allocations, though we didn't come to anything specific. And this week we will look at building upon that and making sure that there are no barriers for allowing professionals to come in and participate in the program. This week in incubation, we'll be discussing again workgroup leads a bit, focusing in on the connections between Education Guild, the Archive Guild workgroup, and the AI Sandbox, which are two kind of work groups which are coming through the surface, which you'll hear a little bit about soon. So welcome to join on Wednesday at 1900 UTC for this very, grassroots, open source conversations, focusing on community, the grassroots levels with our work groups and collaboration between each other. And then we go to the 10,000 foot view. Tommy, the floor's all yours.
Thank you. I don't have those cool glasses that you do. I just have these faux red ones on. But great report and thank you. Decentralization. It's powerful what we're seeing in today's meeting on the decentralization. Strategy Guild had put out a D-work on educational process or an educational group, and here it is bearing fruit. and it's starting up, as I understand, Monday. I don't know if the DeFry is going to talk more about that. And Stephen, as you said, with the archival. Last week on strategy, right after incubation, which had a fantastic meeting, I thought, and especially looking at the work groups. Marketing, yeah. We spent a little bit of time, and you heard Rojo talk about the Summon platform. We discussed that, and Rojo and I and two other people joined an onboarding at Summon to learn about it. I had been to a previous onboarding, so I knew a little bit about it. You can use NFTs or you can use tokens. And what Rojo was talking about was the NFTs that had been sent out, and I know I have it in my wallet. So Summon is a very strong platform, as Rojo said, something we're going to be looking at more in strategy, especially after the summit last Friday, which is the big gorilla in the room, is everything that came out of the summit. How do we adapt the ambassador program to what is going to be happening in Tsingtao, and whether it's Summit, whether it's Clarity, which I had been invited to join when they were in their startup stage through a different organization that I'm involved in, or another solution. We do need to, in our opinion and strategy, we do need to do something other than Discord potentially to house the communities of SingularityNet. A big housing where we can all communicate, and we've been talking about tools and different objects, different ways of going, and the costs in it. And right now, Rojo has started this, which is phenomenal. And that's, as I started, the beauty of decentralization. We discuss something, someone takes on the lead, and things get done. So I commend Rojo on that. Summon does go live tomorrow, I believe, their mainnet. So something to look at. Clarity, I looked at it early on, and I decided where they were to not continue looking into it. But MLabs is great, and it probably deserves a second look. The other thing we did in strategy, which is going to continue this week, and I believe for a while, is discussing and going over Felix's governance framework for SNet. We will this week discuss the summit and ideate on how to incorporate everything for the good of the greater. So that's going to be a big part of what strategy did go over last week and will go over this week. And there's been suggestions. I think Stephen made one last week about going section by section. There's been a lot of conversation over this, and there's been a lot of editors that have touched base on the document that is credited to Felix. So that'll be a big part of strategy this week. And then, depending on what we come out of with from the Tsingtao summit or the SNet summit, we're going to get into ethics and responsibilities of ambassadors, and probably down to the work group, since incubation is looking at work group leads and how do we handle that, and ethically and transparently, how do we handle and guide everybody. So that's it for strategy. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you unshare, I think I could share screen, Peter, if you want.
Sure thing. Let me find the button.
Okay, let's give this a go. I'm just improvising, so be gentle with me. Can you see the screen?
Not yet, but it's loading, looks like. There we go. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the past few weeks have been building the open source infrastructure for the Ambassador program, particularly under the SingularityNet archive GitHub repository. So this is now set up, and it currently mirrors the back end of both our Git books, which are the archive Git book and the SingularityNet Ambassadors Git book, which has been created a few months ago. This is also a platform for managing what is going on the open source side. Here for a project board, this will interface in with dwork, and I'm planning to draft a proposal for the work group here as well. The archive also is another forum for discussion, but this discussion is more documentary. So I'm looking at how, for example, threads on how to design the audit trail at the back end, and also on, which may be of interest here, on lens training, as just mentioned earlier. That's using some beta features with Gitbook to try and ask questions of the Gitbook, which has varied responses at the moment because we have incomplete data. And so I'm looking at how we can refine the data that we are accruing to build kind of an AI interface for it. So the contributions over the past few months have been, about 120 commits on the archive Gitbook, and slightly less amount, 65 commits on the Ambassadors Gitbook. And I sort of need to put together a proposal to manage how we can update that using, there is a comment feature, and I like to get other people involved in this, but I want to figure out how that can happen, what meetings can be held, and how people can contribute. So that's it really. So if anyone has any questions, I can answer any questions. But I'll just keep it short and sweet.
I do have a question. Or David, go ahead.
You go ahead, Peter.
Well, broadly speaking, as a work group, does that also automatically mean like that there's because I know there's a Discord channel dedicated to the archival work group. Will the work group also have meetings? Is that something?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I as you know, for the past few years, I'm kind of building up the infrastructure, which is kind of like a solo job, and I'm just trying to get it into a position where people can get together and work on something together as a group. Absolutely, Peter. But I need to get in a position where people have something to do, and also they know how to do stuff, because some of this is technical stuff and some of it is, and I think a good place to start is the Git book, is because we have an open source license. Thank you, Git book. It means that people can come and edit the content on our Git books. Now, obviously, that can't just be a free-for-all because our Git books are like an archive and we want to maintain quality, because, like, for example, the Ambassadors Git book, it'd be good to make that a definitive point of reference, so obviously need to work out some sort of workflow of quality, so that people can say, I'm updating this piece of information, and then that is agreed, and then it's published on the Git book. So I need to figure out, I was going to draft out a proposal. Again, we haven't done a proposal for a work group before. So I've kind of like tried to look at how that would look like, and the sort of things I need to answer, sort of questions I need to answer, like when will the meetings be, how much might it cost in terms of a budget, who should be involved, that kind of thing. Is that helpful?
Also a small comment is even like perhaps that draft of the proposal can be added to our ambassador framework document as an appendix, for future use, because we do talk about how to create new work groups, but we don't really have a framework for that, do we?
Yeah, I know Felix. I'm not sure if he's here. His camera's off, but I have been working with Felix on something. It's not just my work. It's that there are drafts for people are thinking about what that would look like, and of course, would love to have some feedback on that. Like, what should that look like? You know. So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to draft something anyway and just put it out there, and people can comment on it. But yeah, it's gonna have to be part of our process.
Yeah, nice. Just wanted to say, I think this could be a great section of time in the incubation guild this week to kind of go through this and give some space to ask and answer these questions, help them move forward. Cool. Great stuff, man.
Nice. Well, so yeah, that would be one of the two new work groups that are popping up. Another one would be the educational guild or work group. I'm not even 100%. The price. Can I give you the word on this?
Absolutely, Peter, and thanks for the intro. I don't know if it's a guild or a work group either. I just saw a need and kind of started off the cuff. So the first thing I think we need to settle is, what time it does meet. We met 1600 UTC yesterday, which seemed not to work for a lot of people. I posted a when to meet link, and it's looking like it's going to be more like 2100 UTC moving forward. That being said, and I think that was one of your availabilities too, Peter, if I didn't get it wrong. But if everybody could go in and look at it, 2100 seems to work for everybody who filled it out except for Vanny. But I think she said she couldn't meet on Monday. So we'll record it and put it out for everybody so they can be included even after the fact. Because as we found out in our discussions between me, Crandano, Fly, and Rojo, this is a very, very large topic, education, as it comes to regard SingularityNet, AI as a whole. One topic would lead into another topic, and we got into quite a bit. One of the things we had discussed is even leading like a seminar project. An ambassador could host monthly, weekly, bringing in an AI expert to try and help educate people more broadly, and ourselves more broadly, on the subjects of AI. And that led into, well, is this internal education or external education? And I mean, you can see where the fracturing goes on this. And I think it was decided we kind of need both as we move forward. There was discussion about setting up tasks for people to summarize the different podcasts or educational materials that are already out there. I think a big initiative for us is going to be collating the information that already exists out in the world and bringing it into one digestible place. Right now we have Discord, but I could see us having a pretty good initiative just on bringing information into one place. We talked about writing articles and videos about various AI products as it relates to our own marketplace, but also other products. Through these, we could rate different AI products. And I wondered if we couldn't introduce SingularityNet's reputation system for rating AI products as a whole so people know whether they're safe or not. Which got into, how do we educate people about data protection, what these tools are doing with your data, what they're taking. How do we teach people to hold AI accountable through all this? In general, wider AI ecosystem education. We even discussed a possible AI education disclaimer for any materials we put out. Do your own research. This is not financial advice sort of thing. Just to kind of protect ourselves because this is a new thing. We talked about popular products discussions. We talked about prompt hacking and ChatGPT. We talked about weekly watch parties we could host through the SingularityNet Ambassadors Guild about upcoming SingularityNet podcasts and different videos that are putting out. We talked about hooking in with academics and linking it up with deep funding and various educational institutions that already exist. How do we get some professors involved in some of these discussions to add credibility to what we're doing? I know Fly is going to meet a professor of cybernetics in a couple of weeks, and I'd be more interested to hear how that goes, and just bringing more people in to give an educational foundation for what the Ambassadors Guild is doing. And then it got into, well, what type of education? Are we going to be running coding work groups, which I think is, potential down the line? Or are we doing more base level education for how do people interact with AI and AGI in their daily lives? How do we teach people the difference between AGI and AI? So as you can see, this is the potential to fracture into about 36 work groups. So we're trying to wrestle with the high level conversations about what education means to the ambassador work group, what is our role as educators, and how do we go about doing this. We don't want to duplicate any work, but we also talked about, Rojo had mentioned the blockchain group at his school is one of the more busy clubs. How do we incorporate those individuals that are at institutions of higher learning to get involved with the work group and help spread our educational message about SingularityNet? So if 2100 works for everybody, I think I'll put a pin in that, but let's circle back to it because this is a group I would really like everyone to be able to attend because it is such a large topic, and I look forward to hosting more meetings. Thanks, Peter.
Amazing. Now I feel even more bad about having to miss that session. It was unfortunate timing for me personally. Also 21 UTC, it's 23 my time. It's not optimal for attention, but at the same time I did fill in this when to meet, so I think we'll just have to go with when most are available.
Okay, I think the one that said everybody can meet was 3 p.m. Eastern Standard, unless I did my calculation wrong.
Not sure, but it's we'll get that sorted. That's all good. Yeah, great stuff. What's not to like there? And I'm sure that that list of topics to cover or potential topics to cover is only like the tip of the iceberg. Like it's a rabbit hole.
There's so much to it. I'm going to upload my notes from the meeting into the Educational Guild chat. Some other thoughts. I'll put together a little document I have. There's so much coming that's going to come out of this, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Looking at the clock, time is flying, so I'll fly through some of the remaining sheets. I quickly do want to touch on the task side of things, and then specifically translations. We had two blocks. The intention was for them to be used for onboarding veteran translators, but they're now moved from backlog to do. So they're open for applications, and I'll be assigning them tomorrow. In a way, it's kind of nice that they sat there for a little while, because then now I have a proper overview of supply, let's say, of translations. And then, yeah, after that, I'll add two more blocks as well. The operations Q1 blog went live today, and it's recommended reading, actually. Yeah, it gives a proper overview on all the milestones within the whole ecosystem, pretty much. Yeah, that's accurate. Also gives an update on partnership side and HR side of things. So that will get covered through translations as well. Yeah, then I do want to talk a little bit about the Decentralized Governance Summit. First of all, I would like to thank Tefo and Felix for actually being on the session covering the ambassador program. It was was a weird session. I loved it, but time flew. Like, I think we only covered like 20% of what we intended to cover. Also, thanks there to Krondana for providing quite some structure through the presentation slides. But we only touched like the surface of what we intended to touch. I don't know, we had the outlook of being able to go into the break time, because we would be the closing session of that track. However, there was some issue in main room, so we needed to give up the break time to another session, and then we just, didn't have enough time. But pretty soon we already realized, like, we're just gonna have our own streams and talk about what we want to talk about, because we can. So we shouldn't be limited by a summit like that. However, it was really nice from my experience, at least. And for the recap side of things, was there anybody here who I know I see people who were there, but any thoughts on the summit? It's too broad a question, isn't it?
I was blown away by it. I guess I'm more of a nerd than I thought I was, but I sat and I was babysitting my oldest grandchild, so I was a little distracted, but it was just a lot of info, a lot of beautiful and intelligent people presenting some great information. I have not had a chance to go and look at the YouTube stuff, if it's even up, on the tasks that I missed or the tracks that I missed. But I thought you guys did a great job. The presentation on the ambassadors was good. Short, as you said. Jan is a fantastic speaker. He came across well. Loved the fireside talk with Charles and Ben. I almost understood some of the conversation. They're just so high up in wherever they are. And Ben's closing the AMA was, I thought it was a powerful way to bring everything around and close it up. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I would recommend for geeks out there for the voting session. It's quite interesting. Maybe we'll return to that. An interesting overview of how voting technology can be used. SingCom DAO presentation by Jan, as you said, Tommy, is really informative and interesting as well. And I need to go back and look at the presentation on the proof of reputation technical, which is really critical as well. So a lot to absorb. It'd be great to see once it's all broken up so it can be digested easily. And it's a really great food for thought.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing.
Yeah, it was really cool. I think it was some great speakers and so lovely that the beginning sessions kind of led to the end with SingCom Down, and like some of the earlier sessions like David Wood were just so great. To put it into perspective, like in essence, what we are doing with the ambassador program and what for role we kind of fulfill, as this kind of community, as we are now like the community advisors to the advisory board of the foundation, like now going into it as a kind of equal on that level. It kind of, it's very interesting.
I did also feel like it was quite a holistic track. Like there weren't like in some summits where every track has its own thing and kind of unrelated, and some guest presenters doing their own thing. But here it was all like holistic view, like the same topic, and it kind of went together quite well. When one meeting ended, another started. It felt like, yeah, that's a continuation of that same topic, but just a different perspective or even more in depth. Yeah, I took all my weekend to catch up with the rest of videos, so it was great to hear other alternative products and services are also offered, like Menagerie, and yeah, then also get up to date with the David Orban's text with the how we presents and the Syncom DAO, which I kind of missed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
I
was.
thought, sorry,
Oh,
Freeze.
sorry.
Go for it.
There was so much information. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around a lot of it. Ben's intro was great way to start off. And even the following slide where the gentleman went through history going back to the Middle Ages and how technology has increased lifespans, and watching the curve as you know, our lifespans have increased and how AI is going to increase. And it was just so much information there. You know, Peter, I thought you did a great job. One of the things that really stuck out to me, and I think this relates to what we're doing for the Ambassador Guild more so, is Jan. And I think he made a comment where, and I'm paraphrasing here, you know, they don't want a ceiling for anybody working in the ecosystem. They want people to rise up. They want to hire out of the different ecosystem partners. And as it relates to us, I see it as a call to action. You know, for us to step up, for us to create pathways for more people to come in and get talent into the various ecosystem projects, get people comfortable with AGI, the different tools, so the entire ecosystem can grow as a whole.
Amen.
Yeah, nice. To echo on that, yeah, I thought David Wood did an amazing job launching the summit after Ben Gertzel's opening. And then I thought a lot about the structure of Syncom DAO and the initiation document. There's an example of what the governing structure could look like with an executive team, which it was said would handle more of the day-to-day operations, while some of the things would go to the community for a vote. I do hope and will push for a few community members, perhaps 2 to 3 ambassadors, to be on this executive team. And for the supervisory council, I've been thinking about how it should be leaders within the space of technology. I think we could get a hefty list together, along with contact details to reach out to minds like David Wood and others on various boards of technology, and field any interest they'd have for this type of role. I kind of see the supervisory council playing the same role as an advisor would in any project structure. And then I'm also trying to reach out to minds like Grace Rachmani, who spoke at the summit, to see if we can book a time for like some form of AMA. They made a lot of great points during their presentation, including the question of why voting. So overall, I enjoyed a lot of the presentations, and I still need to go back and catch a few that I missed.
Awesome, good stuff. By the sound of it, at least some of the goals of the summit were achieved. That's great to hear. Yeah, so after the summit, as you can see on the slide for a couple of minutes already, one of the next steps will be the election of the renewed supervisory council. And for that, pretty sure tomorrow we'll open up Sway, actually, for ideation on that process. There will be a couple of missions, like just reading from my screen here, not gonna lie. For example, on the key responsibilities of the supervisory council, there will be a separate pool where people can put proposals and discuss them. Stuff like the ombudsman role is returning quite often. Also critically guiding the beneficial nature of our mission, stuff like treasury management, ethical standards for the platform, guiding in legal matters, like all that kind of stuff that will be possible to ideate on in that pool. There would also be a pool related to the length of the duration of the new supervisory council, for how long they would be appointed, basically, because there's going to be this stage of seats income DAO for 3 to 6 months, and that's something to discuss. Like, would we then, for that period only, have a supervisory council, or would it turn over also during the actual Syncom DAO? Would it remain the same, or would that warrant a new election? That's, well, it's not clear cut and to be discussed. Another pool would be on compensation of supervisory council members. Well, it speaks for itself, I guess. But you could argue that it could be strong if there's just like industry standard compensation. The other way around, it theoretically can be a voluntary role. Should it be symbolic? Should it be related to the time spent? If so, would we put caps on that? Like, it's in a way related to discussions we're having inside the ambassador program, which is not too surprising because there's clear overlaps, right? Let's see. Actually, something interesting related to that topic would be like if there's somebody living, like dislocation of living impact what somebody earns. We also had this discussion for the ambassador program. And then finally another pool would be on voting mechanisms, like stuff like one token, one vote, for example, has some drawbacks. Most would agree with that. At the same time, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, I guess, would be white seats voting, which also would find some opponents. So discussions and proposals on how to properly vote on that. And of course, there will also be like a other category where anything that doesn't fit the categories can be discussed and ideated on, of course. So just wanted to outline that a little bit. But tomorrow there will be a blog post outlining all this in a bit more detail. I'm not flying through my slides. Apologies. Looking at the clock and running into Process Guild time once again. Which I try to avoid, but never manage. Are there for now any questions on this, or should we move on?
I think there's a lot of questions on it, but for time's sake, maybe move on and bring it up in strategy or something.
Yeah, fair. And there will also be community calls about these topics. It won't just be on Sway. All right. Then a couple of quick mentions. Cogito actually has their demo live since 2 hours. That's definitely something, well, if you're interested into tracer coins, to check out. Earlier I did mention Operations Q1 blog being out. And additionally, something interesting to check would be the Zarka AMA that took place on YouTube last yesterday. And then I want to put a mention out for the AI Sandbox session on this Thursday at 13 UTC with Flyer Fools and Felix. Any elevator pitch there? Sorry for putting you on the spot like that.
Come play. Yeah, that's it. I think we don't have much time, but it's so much part of what we're about as ambassadors, like onboarding ourselves, onboarding the community. Yeah, come play.
Awesome, nice. That does bring me to the very last slide. Wrapping up, unless there's any pressing issues which should be addressed right now in this session. Okay, that's it. Then we'll hop over to the Process Guild meeting, and I would like to thank everybody right here for attending today. Thanks a lot.